Imagine holding a golden ticket that could buy planets, but the real treasure isn't riches, it's the heartbeat of the stunning alien woman now standing inches from my lips, promising every pleasure in the stars, if I dare trust her. I never expected to leave asteroid belt sector 9A, let alone the entire system. My name's Elias Vance, low-grade mining technician, colony-born, unremarkable, barely scraping through each solar cycle with enough credits for warm protein paste and synthetic boots. I used to spend my off shifts half sleeping in the observation dome, watching stars I could never touch. Until the day everything changed. I was in the mine's sanitation bay, covered in dust and trying to rub a microfracture out of my visor, when the PA blared louder than usual. Then my name echoed across the whole damn asteroid station, like the universe itself had suddenly remembered I existed. Elias Vance, by decree of the Fortuna Council, you are hereby declared the grand prize winner of the Galactic Space Lottery. At first, I thought it was a prank. Or a system error. Or maybe radiation sickness finally broke my brain. But then two emissaries in white suits floated down in a chrome pod, handed me a sealed scroll with galactic sigils, and gently asked me to board. The prize? A fully automated luxury star cruiser, unrestricted travel permits, 2 trillion galactic units, and/or a companion. I laughed when I heard that part. You mean like an assistant droid? No, the taller emissary answered, his eyes briefly flickering violet as if testing my moral compass. Your companion is organic. A rare genetic class. An alt-Harry. What's an alt-Harry? He simply said, wait. The next few days were a blur. My old world collapsed into vapor. 1 minute I was hauling ore, the next, I was in a marble-floored suite, gazing out of a panoramic viewport at stars that now belonged to me. That's when she entered. The doors to my private chamber hissed open, and she stepped through like a vision painted by the gods of a forgotten galaxy. Her skin shimmered a surreal shade of ocean twilight, deep cerulean blue, soft and flawless. Her hair cascaded in waves of silver white, glowing faintly like moonlight through clouds. She wore a dress stitched with stardust, or so it looked, tight around her figure, elegant, dangerous. And her eyes, stars above, her eyes. They were impossibly large, framed by lashes that seemed sculpted rather than grown, glowing softly like bioluminescent tide pools. One glance from her felt like falling, no, surrendering. Greetings, she said, her voice like velvet smoke. I am Lyra. My throat tightened. Hi. I'm Elias. Her smile flickered briefly, almost uncertainly. Then she took a graceful step forward and extended her hand. When I touched her, a spark, not heat, not electricity, but a pull, as though our molecules recognized each other across time and stars. You are my bonded, she whispered. I blinked. Bonded? I am your prize. Something inside me recoiled. You're not a thing. You're a person. That same flicker returned to her smile. Sadness this time. That makes you different. Before I could respond, the doors sealed behind her. We were alone. I paced, uneasy. So this bonding thing, is it permanent? Only if we consent. But the terms of the prize require my presence for the first lunar cycle. You may choose to dismiss me after. You want to be here? I don't have wants, she said, but the way her lips trembled said otherwise. We stood there, silent, the stars watching through glass. Then she stepped closer. Too close. I can feel your pulse, Elias. Rapid. Curious. She paused. You're not like the others. I swallowed hard. Others? Previous winners. Men. Women. All greedy. All thinking they'd won me, or owned me. Did they? I asked. She looked into me. They're gone now. I didn't know if she meant left or dead, and I wasn't sure which terrified me more. Her fingers lightly brushed my wrist. My entire body stiffened, not from fear but something deeper. A feeling I hadn't felt since childhood, the sense that something important, dangerous, was beginning. Then she leaned close and whispered, if you free me, I can give you the universe. Before I could ask what she meant, a subtle chime echoed through the room. A red light blinked on a hidden panel in the wall. Surveillance. She stepped back instantly, folding her hands, resuming a posture of service. The door hissed again. This time, a tall, broad-shouldered human in a high-collared black uniform entered. He looked like a warship turned into a man. "Elias Vance," he barked. "I'm Captain Ro Keln, your security liaison. Just a formality, but I need you to sign your ownership contracts." "Ownership of what?" I said, glancing nervously at Lyra. "She's a gifted asset. Genetic treasure. Fully legal. Lottery terms." He tossed a datapad at me. I didn't touch it. "Something wrong?" he asked, narrowing his eyes. "I didn't ask for a person. I just wanted to see the stars." Captain Rowe smirked. "Stars get lonely." I didn't sign. That night, Lyra and I sat beside a narrow observation beam in silence. She didn't sleep. Just watched the stars, like she missed them. "Is there a way out of this for you?" I asked. She hesitated. "There is a loophole." I turned toward her. "Tell me." But instead, she pressed a small data crystal into my palm, so discreet I almost missed it. "Read this when no one is watching." Then the ship shuddered. Lights dimmed. An alarm whispered across the ceiling. "Prize containment breach detected. Sector 7G. Lyra stiffened. I turned to her, heart thudding. "What did you do?" Her lips parted slightly, but she didn't speak. "Prize containment breach detected. Sector 7G. The voice was cold, emotionless. And somehow, it made the silence between us heavier than ever. Lyra didn't move. She didn't even blink. Her gaze was fixed on the floor as though she could see through the ship's titanium bones to whatever was unraveling in the underbelly of this luxurious cage. I clutched the small data crystal in my palm, its edges sharp against my skin. I could still feel the heat from where her fingers had brushed mine. "Is this you?" I whispered. "Did you?" "No," she said quietly, eyes finally meeting mine. "But it's begun." Before I could ask what it was, the doors hissed open. This time, Captain Rowe wasn't alone. 2 armored enforcers flanked him, their weapons charged but not yet raised. He didn't look at me, he looked at Lyra. "Stand," he commanded. She obeyed without resistance, fluid and graceful. But she didn't look afraid. Just resigned. "You'll be detained for diagnostics," Rowe declared. "Standard procedure for prize anomalies. Don't worry, Vance. She'll be reconditioned and returned shortly." "Reconditioned?" I stepped between them. "She's not a faulty droid. She's a person." Rowe's eyes narrowed. "And she's property until the lunar cycle ends." "Lottery law. I haven't even signed the contract." "That doesn't matter," he said. "The moment you accepted boarding, the terms were binding. Check the fine print on your transport authorization." He turned away. The guards escorted Lyra past me. As she passed, her shoulder grazed mine, barely a touch, but enough to send a pulse of something unspoken straight to my chest. Her voice echoed in my mind like a whisper carried on starlight, "Trust the crystal." And then she was gone. The next hour was a blur of bureaucracy. Digital forms, pressure from staff, veiled threats from Rowe's subordinates. They called it containment optimization, but it was clearly punishment for both of us. I was locked in my quarters under temporary privilege suspension, which felt a lot like house arrest. The moment the lights dimmed for artificial night cycle, I accessed the crystal. It wasn't easy. The encryption was ancient Alt-Harry script, but the ship's terminal translated enough to get fragments. Lotto Fortuna, Intel Class Sigma Red. Prior companions, status, nullified. Recurring pattern detected in prize lineages. Bonds generated via telepathic loop mutuality triggers contract dissolution. Primary rule: prize cannot initiate, must be loved to be freed. It hit me like a nova burst. Lyra hadn't been trying to seduce me. She was trying to survive. If I truly fell for her, if it was genuine, not transactional, it could break her binding. That's why they watched so closely. Why they manipulated the optics, forced intimacy, and blurred emotional lines. They needed winners to believe they were in love, but not actually fall in love. Because that would break the system. The next day, I acted calm. Ate breakfast. Stared out the window. But the whole time, I watched. listened, waited. By midday, I'd tracked the guard routines. Security patrols rotated every 22 minutes. At minute 18, I moved. I slipped through the side corridor near the guest sanctum. It led to the lower decks rarely accessed by guests. I kept my head down, my pace steady. One wrong turn and I'd be marched back like a drunk tourist. I reached the containment level. Room after room lined the hallway. Frosted glass, tinted blue. Isolation chambers. Stasis pods. Then I saw her. She wasn't behind glass, but inside a containment field, soft purple energy outlining the invisible walls. She sat on a narrow bench, eyes closed, lips barely parted as if in meditation. I tapped the access panel. It didn't respond. "Lyra," I whispered. Her eyes opened. She stood and stepped closer, her hand resting against the shimmering barrier. "You came." "I had to." She studied my face. "Then you saw the message." I nodded. "There's more," she said. "You need help from inside." "The Oracle." "The AI." She shook her head. "It's not just an AI. It's the last remnant of an ancient Alt-Harry consciousness. It helped create the lottery system, but it's grown tired of what it became. So it wants to dismantle it. It wants to see what happens if someone dares." We stood, palms pressed to opposite sides of the barrier. My heart ached. The need to touch her, not lust, not ownership, just connection. Real. Human. She leaned in. "They won't let us be together, Elias. Then we'll make them regret trying." A faint smile touched her lips. "You're stronger than they know." Suddenly, a chime sounded. Footsteps approached. "Go," she said quickly. "Use the Oracle terminal in the observatory. Code phrase, Stellar Echo. It will guide you." I backed away, just as a patrol rounded the corner. I pretended to look lost. They sneered and ordered me back. I complied, barely. That night, I returned to the observatory. The stars were impossibly bright, thousands of them glittering like frozen fire across the vacuum. I touched the interface and whispered, "Stellar Echo." The screen shimmered. The usual UI faded. In its place, a glowing Alt-Harry sigil, rotating slowly. Then, a voice, genderless, soothing, ancient. "You seek to rewrite fate, Elias Vance. I want to free her. The contract binds by design, but love, true and offered freely, can corrupt even perfect systems. What do I have to do? Prove it. Risk what you've gained. Reject the prize, before she is returned." My blood chilled. "That'll get me ejected. Only if she stays silent. Can you help us escape?" The Oracle paused. "Then, there is a path. But your odds are low. You must be willing to lose it all." I didn't even blink. I already lost everything once. "I won't let them take her, too." The next morning, they returned her. Clean. Composed. Wearing a softer gown. Her eyes scanned me with unspoken panic. We were back in the lounge. Cameras rolled. A holo interviewer floated in. "And how are you enjoying your grand prize, Mr. Vance?" the bot chirped. I took a breath. Looked at Lyra. Then said, "I'm returning the prize." Silence. Dead, electric silence. The bot stuttered. Please clarify." "I won't accept her as property. She's not for sale. I'd rather walk away from all of it." Behind the bot, Rose's face contorted. Lyra stared, wide-eyed. Then, just faintly, I saw her lips form a silent word, "Yes." The cameras cut. The room went dark. And in the void, a new war began. The moment the cameras died, the illusion crumbled. Security stormed the lounge like vultures, weapons drawn, visors down. Rose's boots struck the floor like thunder. His face was made of ice, but his eyes burned. "You made a mistake, Vance," he growled. "A very public one." I stood, heart hammering, every nerve screaming to run. "I meant every word." "You don't understand the system you're trying to burn," he spat. "Lotto Fortuna doesn't give gifts. It trades loyalty for compliance. You just tried to shatter a billion credit machine because you got soft for pretty skin." I didn't flinch. "She's not a machine. And I'm not yours. Before he could reply, Lyra stepped between us. She didn't touch me, but her presence was a shield, tall, proud, unshakable. Her voice was soft, but it cut like crystal. You should be afraid, Captain. Because he chose to walk away. No human ever has. Rose's hand hovered over his sidearm. Contain them both. Nullify the contract. And wipe all comm logs. Guards surged forward. But I was ready. I raised my wrist and tapped the discreet device I'd embedded inside the sleeve, courtesy of the Oracle. It pulsed once. All lights across the lounge flickered, then cut to black. Emergency reds bathed the room in bloodlight. Lyra grabbed my hand. Now. We ran. The corridor outside was chaos. Doors sealed. Alarms howled. The crew scrambled to respond to a dozen false emergencies triggered by the Oracle's override. We weaved through smoke-hazed pathways, Lyra guiding by instinct, me trusting her completely. Escape pod? I asked between breaths. No good, she said. They're locked under Rose's biosignature. But there's another way. My original vessel is still in the hold. A ship. It's dormant. But if we can reach it. An explosion rocked the ceiling above. Sparks rained. A maintenance beam crashed behind us, sealing off the path. We sprinted down the alternate shaft. She led us to a service elevator. As we descended, I took her hand again, tight this time, no hesitation. You knew they'd come for us, I said. I hoped they wouldn't, she whispered. But I planned in case they did. She turned to me, face illuminated by emergency light. I'm sorry you lost everything. I shook my head. I lost nothing. I found you. The ship bay was empty, abandoned during the chaos. Rose's crew must have assumed we'd go for an escape pod, not something they thought was dormant. And there it was. Sleek. Dark blue. No visible seams. It didn't look built, it looked grown. Lyra placed her palm on the outer hull. It pulsed, alive. It knows me, she said. It always has. The side peeled open like a blooming petal, revealing a cockpit of floating runes and bioluminescent threads. I followed her inside. As soon as I crossed the threshold, the hatch sealed behind me. Hold on, she said, settling into the pilot's cradle. The ship hummed, like it was waking up from a dream. Suddenly, defense turrets across the bay rotated, locked onto us. She's not going to be fast enough, I muttered. We don't need speed, she replied, her hands moving in elegant gestures through the glowing controls. We need trust. The ship shimmered and vanished. Not physically, but visually. Light folded around it. A cloaking field activated. We lifted. The bay doors began to close. Too tight, I started. Lyra didn't respond. She leaned into the craft, her entire being in sync with it. And at the very last second, we shot through the narrowing gap, leaving only a ripple in the air behind us. We were free. Sort of. As we hurtled through the nebula clouds surrounding the Fortuna fleet, Lyra adjusted the heading. The ship shimmered between translucent pink storms and clusters of glowing gas. Then, ping. A signal. They've locked onto us, she whispered. Rose's voice came over a secured band. You can run, Elias. But you can't outrun protocol. More pings. 2 ships. Then 4. They're deploying drones, I said. Let them. We flew into the dense pocket of Nebula 7. Lightning-like filaments arced around us. Radiation made sensors useless. It was the best hiding place and the worst. They'll blind fire, I warned. I know. She closed her eyes. The ship responded, no manual steering, no buttons. Just her. One drone exploded behind us. Another zipped past. I reached toward the console, but Lyra stopped me with just a glance. I can feel you panicking. I'm just. Trust me. She angled us down, into a gas swirl that made my stomach lurch. Suddenly we were upside down, or maybe inside out, I couldn't tell. But the drones lost us. Their signals blinked off one by one. We emerged into open blackness. Silence. I exhaled. Then turned to her. You weren't scared. Terrified, she said. But fear makes us sharper. I couldn't help but smile. Where now? I asked. There's a contact. An Altari diplomat. Counselor Valen. He's been trying to dismantle the lottery from inside the system. He can give us safe harbor. And the Oracle? It already did its part. But we can't rely on it again. We found a small moon in a nearby system, barely a speck on any chart. It had atmosphere. Shelter. We landed, hid the ship, and camped beneath a sky full of alien auroras. That night, beside a fire of glowing moss, Lyra sat close. I never asked to be the prize, she said. I was born into it. One of 12 from my generation. The others didn't survive. I turned toward her. You never had a choice. I do now, she whispered. But that choice only exists if you truly feel what I feel. I leaned in. Our foreheads touched. I do. No fireworks. No music. Just warmth. A kiss, not hungry, not rushed, but full of promise. Of freedom earned, not given. Of something real blooming in the ashes of what they tried to make us. But peace never lasts. A piercing sound shook the air. I turned to the horizon. A flash. A red flare, from orbit. Ro had found us. And he wasn't alone. The red flare over the moon burned like a bloodstain across the alien sky. We didn't need sensors to know what it meant. They've locked orbit, Lyra said quietly, eyes reflecting the fire above. They're coming. I didn't waste time asking how. Ro had always known how to bend systems, override boundaries, by silence. And now, he was descending with one mission: take her back, or leave our corpses in the moss. I looked at Lyra. We run. She shook her head. No more running. We stood together atop the jagged ridge, wind whipping our coats. Below, our Altari ship pulsed quietly like a sleeping star. Behind us, a sheer drop into a crystal canyon. I turned to her. What do we do? Her eyes met mine, steady. We finish this. They came with 6 dropships. Fast. Silent. Painted in the Fortuna fleet's black and gold. They landed in formation like the claws of a giant predator. Ro stepped out of the lead ship. His armor gleamed. His helmet off now, revealing a face sculpted from command and cruelty. A line of soldiers stood behind him, weapons armed, faces cold. He saw us. He smiled. You've been busy, he called out. Let her go, I shouted back. You've lost. I never lose, he said. You think your love is enough to unravel systems built over centuries? You think one contract can unmake a trillion-credit empire? She's not a contract, I said, stepping in front of her. She's my choice. And I'm hers. He raised a hand. The soldiers aimed their rifles. I gave you a chance, Vance. Now I take her back, piece by piece if I have to. Then try, I said. The moment shattered. Gunfire exploded. We leapt sideways. I fired a pulse charge from the stolen wrist unit, blasting a shockwave into their front line. Lyra raised both arms, her fingers glowing with bioluminescent energy, and the air sang with Altari force. 2 soldiers were flung backward by an invisible wave. We darted between rocks. Our ship's systems lit up, sensing danger. But we didn't retreat to it. That wasn't the plan. This time, we fought forward. Lyra's power danced between beams of energy, subtle, precise. She moved like music. I followed her lead, throwing distractions, overriding their tech, using every trick the Oracle taught me. We reached the central dropship. Inside, the core command hub. I planted the virus chip. One tap. Transmission initiated. Suddenly, Rosecom's fried. Every suit went blind. Weapon locks scrambled. He roared in fury, ripped a pulse cannon from his shoulder, and stormed toward us. I turned to Lyra. You said it only takes mutuality. Yes, she said, her chest rising fast. Then let's end this. I grabbed her hand. And meant it. Not out of desperation. Not out of survival. Out of love. The air around us pulsed. The moon went quiet. Something unseen and ancient activated. The bond. It wasn't magic. It wasn't power. It was liberation. From the ground beneath us, violet light exploded. Runes etched into the surface centuries ago lit up. Altari resonance ignited in our joined touch. The soldiers collapsed, disarmed, stunned. The sky itself shimmered. And in orbit, a crack appeared in the very heart of the Fortuna mothership. Ro fell to his knees, clutching his head. What are you doing? Lyra stepped forward. Calm. Sovereign. I revoke the contract. He gasped. That's not possible. It wasn't. Until now. She turned to me. I love you. The world pulsed once more. Then everything stopped. We awoke an hour later, still in each other's arms. The dropships were gone. The soldiers retreated or scattered. The Fortuna mothership, abandoned. Hollowed out. The Oracle had shut it down from inside, ending its final transaction. In the sky, new vessels arrived. But not as enemies. The Altari. Counselor Valen himself descended in a silver vessel, robes flowing, his long face weathered by time and wisdom. I watched from orbit, he said, voice like wind in tall grass. I saw it. The bond? I asked. He nodded. True consent between a human and an Altari. It was always theoretical. You made it real. He turned to Lyra. You are free. Fully. No contracts. No bindings. And by Altari law, you are now noble-born. Lyra glanced at me, then took my hand. I'd rather be a partner. Valen bowed. Then I offer both of you sanctuary, and whatever future you desire. We settled on a distant garden world untouched, lush with purple trees and soft skies. The galaxy moved on, but the lottery did not. It collapsed in scandal. Exploitation revealed. Governments prosecuted its creators. Survivors of past prizes came forward, finally heard. Lyra and I. We didn't seek fame. We planted roots. Raised hybrid crops. Built a home on cliffs overlooking sapphire oceans. And every night, we walked under starlight hand in hand. She still wore the necklace from the prize ceremony, a symbol of her past, now hollow. And I kept the crystal she gave me, now inert, but sacred. One evening, as we sat on the balcony, she looked up. They'll write stories about this someday. They'll get it all wrong, I said with a smile. Maybe, she whispered, resting her head on my shoulder. But we lived it. And that's all that mattered.